Okay, so I think Faruqi has an internet connection problem. So let's begin with the first session.
Hey guys.
First, I would like to invite our first speaker. Recently, she held the post as chief editor of e-newsletter AMSA International for the previous tenure. She had also worked as chapter representative for e-newsletter AMSA International editorial board. In her respective chapter, AMSA India, she became the National Officer for Information and Technology. Afterwards, she carried on to be the newsletter editor. Next, please. In this particular session, she will be speaking about comprehensive guideline of essay writing for a newsletter. So, without further ado, please welcome Srinidhi Murugapan.
Hi. Hey guys.
Hi. Hi.
Just a second. All right, guys. So our topic for the day, as you guys know already, it's on the comprehensive guideline of essay writing for a newsletter. So this is mainly targeted for people who want to write but haven't started writing as of yet. So it's gonna give you a brief summary of what you ought to do and what you ought not to do. So, in this we'll be learning how to start an essay for the first time, how to find credible and updated references, and how to cite these references. Also, I'll be telling a little bit about the tricks and the tips to proofread and to engage your readers. Now, how to start an essay for the first time? Well, before that, what are the types of essay? Well, there are about 10 to 20 different types of essays, but today we'll just be looking at the 4 different types, which forms the broad classification. And these include the narrative, the descriptive, the expository, and the persuasive types of essays. So most of the times in the case of writing an essay for a newsletter, in medical terms, we'll be just following the expository, which tries and explains something, while the narrative one tells a story and the descriptive one puts a picture in your head through words, and the persuasive wants the audience to agree on something. And well, what are the parts of an essay? Uh, any essay would just start with an introduction. It'll have a body and a conclusion. The introduction is where the author tries and introduce the topic and also tries to include an opening hook and a thesis statement. Whereas in the body of the essay, the author tries and supports the thesis statement and includes examples. So he tries and puts this in basically in technically 3 paragraphs, but obviously it can include more than 3 paragraphs, where the initial and the first paragraph tries and presents the strongest argument, while the third paragraph tries and presents the weakest argument. And conclusion, the author tries and concludes by restating the thesis in a unique way. This is the part where the author tries and reinforces what he has already told in the introduction. Now, moving on to the graphical structure of a paragraph and an essay. Okay, hamburger. I'm sure most of you would like it. So, thinking of an essay to be that of a hamburger, where your top layer would be your top bun and your bottom layer would be your conclusion, and your contents would be your paragraphs. Now, moving on to the stages involved, a typical essay would involve 5 stages, but today we'll just be looking at 3 broad stages, which includes preparation, the writing, and the revision part. Now, moving on to preparing an essay. Well, you have to first choose a topic and question and also read its relevant sources so that you would be able to come up with a thesis statement. And the other thing which most people would miss out on is outlining your structure. Outlining the structure is very essential because sometimes you might just go overboard or underboard the word limit. And sticking to the word limit is vital for any writing, for any part, especially when it comes to submission, because there are chances that your article might be rejected because of going overboard or underboard the word limit. So make sure you always stick to the word limit, and this will only be possible if you try and prepare your article or your essay before you actually start writing. And now moving on to the writing part. Well, the introduction is where you try and capture your reader. So always make sure you provide a background and context for the introduction, and you also make sure that you formulate your thesis statement. And it's also important that you provide an overview of the essay so that the reader would be actually knowing what he's about to read in the coming paragraphs. And this is the point where the reader might also decide on reading your article or not. So make sure it's as captive as possible. Now, moving on to the body of the essay. Here, the author tries to clearly relate to the main argument that he has introduced in the introduction paragraph. And also, the body of the paragraph should make sure that there's only one central theme and idea. And also, please make sure that when you're writing your essay, the introduced idea or the thematic statement is related to the main topic, because in many instances the authors might try and explore different points of argument in the body which may or may not be related to the main argument. So sometimes the readers might not be very happy with this kind of structure. So always make sure that your paragraphs are variably or invariably related to the main argument. And it also helps when you try and support the ideas which are mentioned in the paragraphs with examples and evidence, because this will help the reader relate to the topic. Uh, and moving on to the conclusion part, you always try and summarize the arguments which are made in the body in the conclusion. And this is also this the concluding paragraph also gives you an opportunity where you can try and explore the broader implications, the points that have not been listed in your paragraphs, and you can also end your conclusion with a question or with a strong statement so that the readers might want to read more about your article even after the last sentence. So that's a really successful way of writing, especially when you hook the reader's interest till the very last line. And also in your concluding paragraph, make sure that you stress the topic's importance that you've already mentioned in your introduction. You don't have to write the same sentence again, but you can always paraphrase it, rephrase it, and emphasize your point of argument in the conclusion. That leave a very strong impact on the reader. And now, this is a very important part which most of us, including me in the very initial stages, I'd miss on. So always make sure you revise. Revision, editing, and proofreading are very vital and very important for any essay or for any writing in that matter. So first thing, you always check the order of your paragraphs. This you'll also be doing in your preparation part, but again, revision, when you revise your essay, it's important that you check the order of your paragraphs. And yes, grammatical and spelling errors, it's again very important that you make sure that you check all of them. And one point that I'd like to stress on is make sure that one paragraph seamlessly flows into the next paragraph, because sometimes the first paragraph may or may not be related to the second paragraph, and it'll just feel like you're jumping from one point to the next point. So that doesn't give a flow to your writing. So make sure that it just flows from one paragraph to the next, from one sentence to the next. And also, when you're revising, make sure you review the instructions of your essay, which includes, especially when there's a call for a submission, they'll give you a list of points which will include the word limit, the format, the type of referencing that they expect from you, the font size, and all that. So make sure that when you revise and edit and proofread, that you stick to all these points. Make sure that you fulfill all the criteria, because in some cases, when you don't fulfill all these criteria, the chances of your article being rejected is way lot higher. So make sure you do all of this. And yes, you got to read and reread what you have written, and finally check for plagiarism. And there are several tools available on the internet which will help you detect anything which you have knowingly or unknowingly done, especially when it comes to taking phrases from the internet. So make sure you always check for plagiarism. And now moving on, for any writing, you're gonna look for sources on the internet. You'll want to read more information about it. So now we are here to find out what are the credible and updated references on the internet. So what is a credible source? Credible sources are usually reliable, verified, trusted, and recognized agencies and bodies throughout the world. And also, when you're looking for credible sources, always make sure they fall into the recently published material, because especially if they're going to be outdated, it'll be totally unrelated and it won't be verified when you're writing something in today's context. So make sure that they are very recently published materials, which will include within a span of 10 years, unless you're writing an article on archaeology where it is okay to try and take sources which are more than 10 years old. And now the sources which are based on personal blogs, social media platforms, no matter how many likes or views they've received, it's potentially unreliable. So try and stay away from these sources. Now, certain examples for credible sources could include your newspapers, magazines, journals, published books, and government entities. This can include government-run websites, and you've also got your professional bodies such as American Heart Association or World Health Organization. And in addition, you can also take information from academic databases and other recognized search engines such as Google Scholar. And please note, your Google is not, as of now, is not a very credited source. So if you're going to take information, always please try and stick to Google Scholar, which is a recognized and a credible search engine. Now, if you have a source and if you're wondering, is it a good source or not, always run the CRAP test. Ask yourself, is it CRAP? Well, what is CRAP first? It stands for current, relevant, and if the information is from an authority, and if it is accurate, and if it serves a purpose. Well, yes, current, whether it is applicable in the current scenario, that is very, very important. So you first ask yourself, when was it published, and whether is it relevant. Yes, you ask yourself, is it relevant to your topic? And this is almost similar to the purpose thing, where you ask yourself if the reason exists for the purpose in the publication as well as in your article or your essay. The next thing, you ask yourself if this source is from a very authorized, or is it from a source of authority. And also ask yourself if the author is credible, if the author is a credited person, or if the publisher is contactable in the case you need any clarification, and if the information, and lastly you ask yourself if the information is accurate. So ask yourself, where does it come from? Is it supported by any evidence? And can you verify these information in any other sources? And are there any errors? So these are the things that you ask yourself if you want to take a source from outside the ones that I've listed before. Now, moving on to how to cite references. Well, what exactly are citations? Citations are basically used to credit the author or the source from which you've taken information from. So citations can be employed especially when you're quoting something or if you're paraphrasing some content from the original text. And these can also include examples, ideas, some anecdotes or quotations that you've taken from another place. And these citations will also help the reader if they want to read more about the topic. So this will help them to find the original source. So it's important that you always cite and give the due credit for the information that you're taking from another person. Well, how to cite references? The two components of citations are in-text citations and a full reference. You'll be able to see a box right next here where I've just circled this number 1. So you can just see that this sentence where it starts from, in general members or member order mucorales, so till 60%, this sentence was taken entirely from this particular journal, and the details of which are given below in this box. So when you put an in-text citation, make sure you number them in parentheses at the end of the sentence, and so that this number would usually correspond to the references which are usually listed at the end of your article. So this will give you further information about the author and the journal in which it was published. So this will also help the reader to gather more information about the same topic if they want to read more about it. Now, moving on to styles of referencing. Well, there are several styles of referencing, and each article or magazine would request their author to send their references in a unique style. So this will vary from one magazine to the other. So it's hard for you to switch between styles. So you have certain tools for this. So these tools which are widely and there are more than 100 tools available, but the ones which we use here in medicine are like limited. So I've just mentioned a few. So this includes Mendeley, EndNote, Zotero, RefMe, and BibTeX. So if you're the kind of person who's writing several articles at the same time and you need a referencing manager, then you can always go in for these tools. And but yeah, there's a quick fix for everything, isn't it? Let's see what it is. So now some might find it hard to use these tools. Some might not be really into it. So what you can do is, if you want to quote something from this particular article, so all you have to do is, once you've taken your information that you want to quote in your essay, you just go down and click this sign, this quotation sign at the end of the article. So once you click this, you'll be taken to this page where you'll be able to find the various citations and the various different methods and the styles of referencing. So all you have to do is just cut, copy, paste, and put it in your article. And yes, that's what I do most of the time, because I've personally find it very hard to use a referencing tool, but it's actually easy if you know it, but I haven't learned it yet. So yeah, this is a quick fix. And we are coming almost to the end, so I'm going to tell you a few tricks of proofreading. First thing, this is a 16-step method. Oh, well, now let's assume that you have an essay that you've written and it's lying right in front of your table. So what are you going to do about it? First, find a quiet place and decide uh, which media you want to use to proofread your essay, because some people would like to proofread it by themselves. They might have a big bound dictionary lying on their table right next to them, while some might prefer to do it on the computer. But I assume that most of us would try to proofread our articles in the computer. So in that case, also make sure that you always read a printed version of yours. And when you read a printed version of yours, it'll help if you can put a ruler and try and hide the lines that you're not reading, so that it won't distract you. And also there's another trick where you can try and reading your lines from the bottom of the content, because in this way you won't get you won't be reading the content. Instead, you'll be reading the lines in the text, and this will also help you spot any mistakes, errors, spelling mistakes or grammatical mistakes. And also another thing that you can do is, you can always ask your friends and your family to read your content, but also make sure that you don't ask every single person to do that, because sometimes the chances of your content being plagiarized is way lot higher. So just give it to your trusted friends and family to help them to help you proofread your article. Also, you can also use, there are several tools available online which will help you proofread, edit, and all that, so you can make use of this. And yes, and finally, before submitting your articles, just like I mentioned earlier, always make sure that you fulfill all the criteria that is listed for on the call out. So make sure that you fulfill the word limit, the font, the referencing style, and everything. So yeah, uh, these are a few proofreading tips. I guess I've covered most of it. And now, well, I got this image from Facebook. I know it's not a very credited source, but I guess for memes it should be fine. So yeah, if you're gonna ask yourself, is spell check alone good enough for proofreading? Well, then you are wrong. It's false. Spell check alone is never good enough. And now, moving on to the tips to engage readers. Well, let me tell you, the author is more like a fisherman. Well, I understand that there are several fishermen out there, but always the number of fishes in the ocean is more than the number of fishermen on the shore. So the fishes are your readers. So always try and bait as many fishes as possible. So I'm going to tell you a few hooks to bait your readers. Well, the first thing is the interesting question hook. Especially when you ask a question that relates to your essay or paper, the reader would be drawn to your essay to read more about it, to find answer to it. So that's always a very good hook. And the next thing is a strong statement hook, where you try and write a sentence that makes a claim about the topic of your essay. So that will again invariably draw your readers to your article. And you can also use a fact hooks or a statistic hooks, where you try and quote facts from credited sources, and this will also help the readers explore more about it. And yes, the metaphor hook, just like the fisherman and the fishes in the sea, you can always try and relate your topic to a very regular or a normal scenario, an everyday scenario. So that will help the readers connect your article to that they are witnessing every day. So yes, a metaphor and a simile hook is a very good hook. And yes, stories are the ones that human beings have known from times immemorial. So you can always use a story as a brief introduction, and then you can try and take your readers into the story, where you also push your points of view in your essay. And the next thing is a description hook, where you try and write a description of a scene or something that's related to your topic or your thesis, and then you try taking the readers in the descriptive path. And finally, the quotation hook. So always, especially when you begin your article or an essay with a very powerful and a striking quote, especially from a very renowned person, then yeah, so that's also a very powerful hook. And sometimes you can also take and the other thing that I'm sorry, the other thing that I wanted to tell you is, especially when you're quoting something, it is very essential that you try and quote something that is relevant to your topic, because most of the times, even I have personally seen articles which have got quotations that is completely unrelated to your body of the essay. So try and make sure that the quote is relevant and from a credited source. Yeah, so these are the certain hooks that you can use to bait your reader. So yes, so there we go, we have near the end, and these are my sources. And yes, thank you. So I'll be glad to take any of the questions that you guys have got for me.
Thank you very much, Srinidhi, for the comprehensive presentation. First of all, before we proceed to the conclusion and also the Q&A session, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Faruqi. I'm the chapter representative for AMSA Indonesia of the e-newsletter editorial board. I'm sorry that I have certain technical issues previously, and I think I'm now okay. So I have several conclusions regarding the presentation. There are three essential parts of the essay, which include introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Making a structured essay can follow the hamburger formula, and there are three steps in making your essay: preparation, writing, and revision. Using credible sources is a crucial part in making your essay reliable and trusted. You can use the CRAB method to check your sources. Citation helps to credit someone's work and allow the reader to identify the original source. Citation include the in-text and also the reference. We can use different style of references and also tools to manage the references. Additionally, proofread your article through the 16-step method, and you can also use the 7 excellent essay hooks to engage with your readers. So now, let's begin the discussion and Q&A session. We have also gathered some questions from the Google form that we have shared earlier to our members. I will read out the first question, Srinidhi. So first, how do you find inspiration or ideas to know what to write about?
Well, in my case, I always try to keep my writing as relevant to the things that I see every day. So it can include something that I see every day. So most of the times, my stories or my essays are based on personal experiences. So that's what really inspires me. I'm not much into writing fantasies and all that. So yes, I mean, human beings, they do have dreams and all that, but I'm not really that kind of a person. The other thing that I always try to include in my essays and writing is more to do with the normal human emotions. Like for instance, I'm right now currently working on an essay where I personally witnessed a guy who had an accident on a motorway and was brought in a very pathetic stage. But then he was on his road to recovery, and again in a month's time he was back on the motorway speeding on his motorcycle. And I guess that really puts a smile on your face, not just as a healthcare worker, but when you put that in words, it'll invariably put a smile on your reader. So I guess that smile is what motivates me to write something that's relevant to, to everyday life.
So it's important to see things around us and take inspiration from that kind of thing. Is that correct?
Yeah, right.
Thank you very much, Srinidhi. Let's proceed to the second question. So how do you take a hard and serious topic and turn it into something interesting, light, and fun to read?
Well, if you're writing on some topic which is very serious, and it's something that can't be taken lightly, is you always try and connect it with the past. Like let's say, for instance, if you want to write about a war that's taking place between two neighboring countries, and that's not a very light topic or a very what do you say, it's not a very it's an emotionally heavy topic to write about it, so you can't just make it funny with anecdotes or funny quotes, so that'll be considered insensitive. So in that cases, what you can basically do is you can try and relate it to the past. Like for instance, you can take examples from history where two similar neighboring countries were at war with each other, but during the World War, but today they happen to be one of the greatest allies in the modern world. So you can always try and direct your topics in such a way that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And you can also, like, let's say the other example that I like to say is, let's say for instance, if you want to write about the COVID pandemic, well, it's not a very easy topic to write about, because so many people are dying and there's so much of suffering going on because of that. So in these cases, what you can do is you can compare it with a similar pandemic that happened in the past. And you can try and direct your essay or your writing in such a way that as human beings, we have battled this in the past, and we would just definitely overcome this again in the future, in the present, like we have always done it in the past. So that's another strategy to employ, and try and direct a very serious topic into a promising one with, with a very happy ending. So you can do that. I hope that helps.
Thank you very much, Trinity, for that tips and also tricks. So now I'll be opening the floor to the audience. Do you have any additional questions from our participants? You may type the question using the chat feature of the Zoom, or raise your hand if you want to verbalize your question. Please, from the audience, is there any question? Okay, I think there is one question from Tanishka from AMSA India. Could you explain about the thesis statement? Thank you, Sydney.
Yeah. So, well, a thesis statement is something that you'd basically be writing about. You're centering your article about it. So if at all you want to write about, let's say, something very relevant in today's scenario, like that of COVID pandemic, so you can maybe choose a topic about the mental health implications on COVID-19 pandemic, and you can do the relevant study about the thesis. And you can come up with a statement stating that yes, COVID, there can be two different statements. One which states that COVID-19 pandemic would cause a lot of mental health problems in the future. That could be one statement. And the other thing could be, no, COVID-19 pandemic may or may not cause much of mental health problems in the future. So you can choose either of the two statements, and then you can direct your article and your paragraphs in a similar fashion. And you also try and make sure that you support your thesis statement in the conclusion by highlighting the points which made you choose either of the two statements. And yeah, you can just do that. You can just choose whichever side you want, and you try and support that in your paragraphs, and you also reinforce that in conclusion. So you just, first thing that you got to do, you select your topic, and the next thing that you'll have to do is choose either of the sides of a topic, because every topic has two sides. So you choose either of the sides, and then you go ahead with that. I hope that helps.
Thank you very much, Trinity. I hope it answers for Tanishka. Now let's proceed to the next question from Sumaya, also from AMSA India. Will adding a personal anecdote or story in the essay be considered too informal? Trinity, please.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Well, I'd say that it depends on the journal or magazine that you're writing for. If you're writing an article for a newsletter with a medical journal, then yes, you can very well add your personal stories and your experiences. Yeah, you can very well do that. But if you're going to write an article or an essay for a medical journal, which is considered way too formal, then I guess that might not be seen as a very positive one. So I guess you should try and avoid your stories or your own personal experiences in such journals. So it again comes down, boiling to the point, it depends on the magazine or the journal that you're writing for. I hope that helps.
Okay. Thank you very much, Cindy. And thank you very much, Sumaya, for the questions. Is there any other question from the participants? Anyone would like to give the question through the chat feature or maybe would like to raise their hand? You may proceed. Is there any questions? Okay. Well, I guess there is no more questions from the participants, but I do have one more question from the Google form. And the last question will be, what advice would you give for aspiring members that are interested in joining the editorial board team, whether in AMSA International or in their own chapter?
Well, the first thing that I'd like to say is start writing, because as a chapter representative or an editor, you'll come across several articles. So, when you start writing, you will be able to relate more to the writing of other authors. So, my first and foremost suggestion is, yes, start writing. And the next thing that you can do is you can always offer to help your friends proofread their articles, because when you're working as a chapter representative, most of the articles from your country will come to you. So you might have to do the initial screening. So you'll just be going through articles. So it'll help if you can proofread articles that of your friends, and always stay updated and connected, because the openings and the calls for the chapter representatives when it comes, so that you'll be prepared for it. And also, since you'll be working together as a team, it's important that you just get along well with your team, and there's adequate coordination. So any activity that will help you with teamwork, coordination, and dedication. I guess these are the three most important traits for any position. I think that these three traits will help you a long way. Yeah, apart from that, you can just try and proofread articles. That'll help.
Okay. Thank you very much, Trinity. I think I would like to ask one more question. This is the very last. It's from Iza Beverly, AMSA Indonesia. He asking, are there some abbreviation or acronyms that cannot be used in a formal essay? This will be our question.
Well, yes, definitely your WhatsApp abbreviations and acronyms are a big no-no on formal essays. It need not just be formal essays, even informal essays, they are a big no-no. So try and stay away from such acronyms. But other than that, most of the medical acronyms which are recognized throughout the world, because especially when it comes to medicine, the abbreviations might differ from region to region. So just try and check if just try and check if the acronyms are applicable throughout the world. So you can always do that. I think even I guess even WHO provides a list of accredited acronyms that are used in the medical community throughout the world. So if you can come across such a source which will give you the the list of acronyms which are used throughout the world, then yes, you can very well use them. But apart from that, if they're going to be very restricted to a regional place, then I guess it's better to stay away. If you're hoping that your article would be reaching to a larger scale of readers, so yes, it's best to avoid such regional acronyms. I guess that answers that. Thank you.
And also thank you, Feliza, for the question. I think that sums our session with Srinidhi. Thank you, and thank you, Srinidhi, for your wonderful and comprehensive presentation. We would like to thank you for your time and also your inspirations. So everyone in here, the participants, can start to write their own essay in the future.
Oh, yeah. Right, bye-bye.
Bye, thank you, Srinidhi. Okay. I hope everyone is still in their spirit mood to continue to the next session. Next, I would like to invite our second speaker. In the next session, he will be speaking about management and publication of e-newsletter at national level. Recently, he held the post as the Secretary of Publication and Promotion, AMSA Indonesia. He also worked as the Publication and Promotion National Team, AMSA Indonesia, in the previous tenure. So, without further ado, please welcome Ignatius Evan Santosa.
Hello everyone. Okay. Okay, hello guys. Thank you for coming today. I'm Evan from AMSA Indonesia and I'm looking forward to talk with you about management and publication of e-newsletter at a national level. I would like to share with you my experience in managing the e-newsletter in AMSA Indonesia. Next, please. Yeah, so we will discuss these four sections on our topic today, the overview, management, preparation, and publication. So let's head start to the first one. Before we go deep further, let's review about e-newsletter. E-newsletter is an electronic report containing news concerning the activities of an organization that is sent to members, customer, employees, or other subscribers. So in general, a newsletter is basically an email that is delivered to your readers on a frequent basis. And in this newsletter usually adheres to some sort of predetermined format in each edition. In general, e-newsletter also contain articles, snippets, teasers, and links to another information located on your organization website or blog. They can also include promotional ads, and they are ideal if you want to advertise or promote something. But because we are a non-profit organization, we can customize this e-newsletter to suit our needs. Next, please. So why we need e-newsletter then? There are at least three benefits that I can point out in making an e-newsletter to your organization. The first one is building and deepening audience engagement. By providing the kind of valuable, insightful content the readers want to receive on an ongoing basis, your e-newsletter plays a major role in helping you convert casual readers into engaged brand fans. And subscribing to an e-newsletter also demonstrates that a reader is interested in more than just a quick one-time interaction with a single piece of content. It is the perfect place to introduce the subscriber to other relevant information and offers from our organization, such as organization news, event invitations, or maybe some large-scale content project. The next one is advertising and marketing. So by building and deepening this audience engagement, we can also make or promote something that we have in our organization easier. The good newsletter can help develop longer lasting relationship with key customer through personalized regular communication, especially if interlinked with some of feedback loops and special offers. And last but not least, it's brand advocacy. E-newsletter also can motivate customer to help us spread the word about our organization by including interactive assets like contests, quiz, and other user-generated content opportunities that give them a creative outlet for self-expression. Next, please. Okay, back then, Adela already mentioned AMSA International e-newsletter called Aspire. In AMSA Indonesia, we call our e-newsletter Arbor Vitae. It is called Arbor Vitae in hopes that it will always serve as the tree of life that connects our patient and provides knowledge for all of the readers. This newsletter is in the form of a compilation of submissions that are sent by AMSA Indonesia's members, which are published regularly. The first Arbor Vitae was launched in 2012 and has published 28 editions ever since. Next, please. Okay, this is the glimpse of the content in Arbor Vitae. Maybe you can play it. Yeah, this is the glimpse of the content. As you may see, you can see more of it in AMSA Indonesia users account if you're interested. Next. Okay, in Arbor Vitae, there are several sections available, so members can submit various type of work here. As you can see here, we have music section, city guide, interview, technology, world issue, creativity, AMSA event, medical affair, and photography. For example, we have AMSA event section. In this section, members can tell what their AMSA university's activities are. And as you can see in medical affairs section, in every edition of Arbor Vitae, we have like one main big SEM, and it is mainly discussed in medical affairs section. For example, in previously you can see in 26th edition of Arbor Vitae, we have the theme The Secret Life of Sleep, Unraveling the Mystery of Dreams. So in the current medical affairs section, the members can explain, for example, how sleep affects specific body function and systems, or maybe they can discuss about why can we dream and what is the health benefit of dreams, and so on. Next. So this is the example of the photography section on the left and the current medical affairs section on the right. Next. Yeah. On the bottom right, you can see the example of the creativity section. On this section, the reader can see many creativity works made by AMSA Indonesia members, such as poems, short story, digital arts, and other creative works from them. And as you can see, all of the final works here is edited by our teams, and I will explain the workflow further in the next section. Next. So what do we need to make an e-newsletter? Next. So in making this e-newsletter, of course, I do not work alone. As Secretary of Promotion, I led this e-newsletter publication as an editor-in-chief. And in the process, I collaborated with the publication and promotion, or PNP team, which consists of 8 people. And each PNP team is responsible for one district and had a role as a liaison between AMSA universities and AMSA Indonesia from the pre-publication until the post-publication stages. So basically, if AMSA International have chapter representative, this PNP team act as a district representative for Arbor Vitae. They responsible for engaging more people from his or her district to write for AMSA Indonesia e-newsletter, and also responsible for the performance of primary contributor in certain district in terms of motivating them to contribute to Arbor Vitae. Next, please. Yeah, in addition, the PNP team also act as a layout designer. They're responsible for the layout and editing process for one section in each edition of Arbor Vitae. In general, the responsibilities are designing, editing, proofreading, and promoting. The promoting task is exercised both for pre-publication until the post-publication stage. The pre-publication one is especially to increase submission by AMSA University, and the post-publication one is to announce the newest edition to the public. And the proofreading, designing, and editing tasks are done after the members send the submission to us. Technically, the apps used for designing and editing can vary from person to person, but there are some basic rules for editing these newsletters, such as the text size and the font types, and also the theme color in each edition. After that, PNP team handed all the works they've made to me for finishing and compiled and then published to the public. Next. Yeah, so this is the basic workflow of our publication from start to finish. As you can see in pre-publication, is due 1 until 1.5 months before publish. We create project timeline, we gather ideas, and we open submission for the contributor. Next, in pre-publication, together with the PNP team, we brainstorm to find the central theme for the subsequent edition. We also evaluate previous edition so we can make Arbor Vitae better in each edition. We also plan a timeline so that the publication runs according to schedule. And after the prominent theme is selected, the submission will be opened in the AMSA Indonesia mailing list and distributed to AMSA universities through the respective PNP team and each district and social media. And when open the submission, it is important to draw attention so members can send their submission to us. And the teaser campaigns can be used to let the audience know that the new edition is coming and also add to the hype of the upcoming release. Next. Yeah, so this is the example of the teaser and the calling for submission post before we submit or we release the new edition of Arbor Vitae. As you can see, every edition we have one main big theme that we can discuss, and this open submission is usually open for 2 weeks. And before the submission closed, AMSA universities will receive regular reminders to submit their work. Next. Yeah, so this is the example of the reminder we've made, and we usually post it on Instagram story, and also we send it to the district groups. Yeah, next. Yeah, after closing, the created works will be grouped by the section. And as I've said before, the each PNP team is responsible for editing and designing one section per edition. And in this publication stage, after the proofreading and section editing, then I will be compiling and finishing it before I publish into the issue. Next. Yeah, so one of the things that I think is important to pay attention when making a newsletter is planning a fixed layout to be used long-term for each edition, especially to make the workflow easier from edition to edition. Next. As you can see here, the apps that I use to compile this e-newsletter is Adobe InDesign. I recommend this application so much because the tools provided are designed to create a newsletter, book, or magazine. And it will make your editing, compiling, and finishing process much easier and organized. Next. Yeah, so we enter the post-publication stage. After finalization, Arbor Vitae was published on issue AMSA Indonesia. Post-publication promotion is carried out through social media to reach a wider audience. I think the promotion part is one of the key points to reach wider audience for your e-newsletter. You can promote this e-newsletter release through all of your social media platforms and also groups. And in addition, you can also add interactive section like quiz or games to build more engagement. And last but not least, get those feedback. Active solicitation of reader feedback will help your newsletter improve and follow the trends. Next. Yeah, so these are the example of the promotional story video for the 25th and the 26th edition of Arbor Vitae in the release date. by making this promotional video, many people, more people will attract to our magazine, and you can link this video to your magazine and they can read it directly from there. And I think it's the main promotion you can make to make your e-newsletter more engaging and can attract wider audience. Next. Yeah, about 2 weeks after the publication, PNP team will collect feedback from the AMSA universities to evaluate the next edition of the Arbor Vitae. As you can see on the right side, a letter from readers. And in addition, we also send prizes to selected readers who participated in a quiz called hashtag Ask the Reader, who will be present in each edition. As you can see on your left, in this edition, we have theme about the gaming addiction. So on these interactive quizzes, we made the quiz about some old retro gaming characters, and they can send their answer to our email, and the selected winner will be sent AMSA Indonesia official merchandise by us. Yeah, and repeat. In general, the new edition of Arbor Vitae published every 2 months. Next. Here's the example of our feedback. Yeah, I recommend you to put their feedback on the next edition of the magazine to provide some engagement and attract wider audience to read our magazine. Next. Yeah, if your e-newsletter already run regularly, you can also try to make a special edition at the end of each tenure to celebrate certain things. For example, on my tenure before, the 27th edition of the Arbor Vitae is a special edition as a closing message or basically a yearbook for 1 year of a tenure. Okay, next. Yeah, so that's it. It's easy to get started to creating an e-newsletter, and in the process, it is indeed necessary to collaborate with various parties to publish the e-newsletter. However, most importantly, I think you shouldn't be afraid to start and try. As Roy T. Bennett says, do not fear failure, but rather fear not trying. I believe you can all start making fantastic e-newsletter in your own AMSA chapter, or even in your other organization as well. Next. Yeah, and that brings us to an end. I would like to thank you for your time and kind attention today. And if you have any question or further discussion, please don't hesitate to contact me. I will be happy to discuss more about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evan, for the great presentation. And I would like to read out several conclusions before I continue to open the Q&A section. The first section is the conclusion. Our newsletter help to build and deepen audience engagement, market and advertise your organization activity, and advocate your brand. Management of the newsletter includes collaboration with various stakeholders, responsibility distribution with the team members, and the timeline establishment for the workflow. The workload categories can be differentiated into the pre-publication, publication, and post-publication process. Feedback is important to improve your newsletter and collect new ideas from the readers. Promotion is another essential part to engage with your readers. I believe that everyone had their grip on the newsletter from our 2 presentations, especially on creating an essay and managing the newsletter itself, after hearing the presentation from 2 incredible speakers. Now, let's begin the discussion and Q&A session. We have also gathered some questions from the Google form that we shared earlier to our members. To to Evan. The first question is, what are the obstacles that often occur when managing a newsletter at national level?
Okay, thank you for the question. I think the biggest challenge in creating an e-newsletter is finding contributor. As you can see, all of the members have their own activities, so we must find a creative way to attract them to send the submission to us. As you can see before, Arbor Vitae has so many sections, and we need more promotion and reminder to attract contributor to send their submission. Some of the ways we have done to attract contributors, such as search for relevant themes, and send more promotion and reminder in each district group. For your information, all coordination in each district by the PNP team is carried out in one group. So all reminder can also be sent to them. And in addition, we also provide the contributor with e-certificates and the official AMSA Indonesia merchandise to attract more submission. And maybe my personal tip when creating the timeline in pre-publication, you should allocate some time around 1 until 3 days for the extended submission in case it needed to attract more contributors. I think that's it.
Thank you very much, Evan, for the tips and tricks to overcome any obstacles found in the newsletter. I think we'll proceed to the second question. How to make the readers engage until the very last page of newsletter?
Okay, I think the section placement is the key. Maybe you can adjust heavy and light sections so that readers don't get tired of looking at the content of the magazine. For example, you can put the current medical affair as the heavy section first, and then you can add the light section after that. For example, like the photography section. In addition, maybe you can also add attractive illustration and unique layout per section so that readers are intriguing to read it. And also you can maybe also add interactive section like I've explained before, like quizzes or games with the prizes at the end of the magazine, so the readers can or will be interested in reading it until the end. I hope it answered the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan, for the answers. So now we'll be opening the floor to the audience. Do we have any additional questions from our participants? You may type them using the chat feature of Zoom or raise your hand if you want to verbalize your question. Please, to all participants.
Hi, Fire Kid. I think there's one person named Hasanah that raised her hand for question.
Okay, thank you very much, Mao. I couldn't see it. Okay, Hasanah, please.
Hello, yes. Hi, my name is Hasanah and I am from Malaysia. I actually have two questions. Is that okay? Would that be all right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. So the first one would be regarding the design earlier, you mentioned Adobe InDesign as the app that you normally use. Perhaps, are there any other apps that you can use to in your design for the newsletter? Maybe something that already has a template that we can just build up on rather than just build from scratch? So that is my first question. Should I say my question, second question, or just?
Maybe Evan would like to answer the first question.
Would you,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you, Hasanah, for the question. Yeah, so as I've mentioned before, I usually use Adobe InDesign mainly for the finishing and compiling stage. So why I use this Adobe Design? Because it already set the pages, and we can set how many pages we want, and you just also add the picture or the fixed layout or fixed work that you have made from my team to there. And for your information, my PNP team usually edit it using either Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator, like that. But maybe for the one with already have a template or so, you can maybe use Canva for start. Canva, I think Canva has already have so many good templates you can use to start. Or maybe if you want to do something more to your layout, you can try the other Photoshop or Illustrator or the similar application like CorelDRAW or so. Yes.
Thank you very much, Evan. I believe that Hasana has her second question.
Yes, thank you very much for answering the first question. And then for the second question, particularly how long, as in like how many pages can it be maximum so that the readers can stay engaged, especially if it's a heavy topic? And maybe can we add in more graphics to keep them hooked? Yeah, is there maybe any tips and tricks to tackle that kind of articles? Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the question. Usually, we limited in our submission when we open the article submission, we limited the words to maximum 1,000 words. So, as you have said before, if we use so many words or too many words in one article, the reader will get bored, especially if we have so many articles in our magazine. So that's why we've limited our article to 1,000 words per article. And I think so far the 1,000 words maximum is okay. And as you can see, you can also add some graphics and your layout, like your line spacing and your font text. So the readers shouldn't get tired when read the magazine, like that. Yeah, so I recommend the 1,000 words maximum in article. I hope that answer. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Evan. Hasana, does it answer all your questions?
Yes, it did. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Hasana. So now we can proceed to the next question. Are there any other questions from the participants? You may raise your hands or maybe use the chat feature on the Zoom. The participants are very shy. It's a good opportunity to ask questions so you can know more about the management of newsletter. Okay, I'm trying to check the box and also the raise hand. There are no one. Okay, I think we shall proceed to the last question. I have the last question here, Evan. What advice would you give for members that are interested in joining the editorial board team, whether in AMSA International or in their own chapter?
Okay, thank you. As I've said before, do not fear failure, but rather fear not trying. I think in terms of this managing field, you will get a lot of benefits by joining the editorial board, either at AMSA International or maybe your respective chapters. You will have a lot of opportunity to connect and collaborate with a wide variety of people to create amazing e-newsletters. And when you join, I suggest that you shouldn't be afraid to share your crazy and creative ideas, because that is what is needed in this field. Also, keep updated with current medical affairs and the hot topic, so it can help you find the best themes in each edition. In addition, search for unique and interesting ways to get people to send their submission. Yeah, I hope my brief explanation today will give you a little insight about this field. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Evan, for your wonderful presentation. Once again, thank you to all participants who have actively asked their question regarding the newsletter. And thank you for our guest of honor, Srinidhi Murugapan and Ignatius Evan Santosa. Before we end the session, AMSA International would like to give certificates of appreciation for both speakers. We highly praise both speakers as we look forward to talking with everyone soon. Next, please. These certificates are awarded to Srinidhi Murugapan and Ignatius Evan Santosa for imparting their valuable knowledge as the speakers in AMSA International Masterclass session, Guidelines to Essay Writing and Newsletter Publication, given this 30 May 2021. Let's give our speakers a virtual round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, before we end, let's take a photo first. Sista, will you help me to screenshot?
Okay, me, Evan, you can post for us. 1, 2, and 3. And another 3. Okay.
Thank you very much, Sista. And thank you very much once again for Nidhi and also Evan. We hope you guys stay safe and enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, guys. Have a happy weekend.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Nidhi.
Thank
Okay.
you very much, everyone. It was amazing. Yeah.
That ends the first part of our session. We hope that it was informative and will prove useful when writing an article for the newsletter or managing the newsletter itself. We'll take a short break for 5 minutes and then come back for the second part.
Just me or something within my soul. I'm tired in every way, entangled in every day. I go back. We've had adventures of a lifetime, drifting in a sea of starlight, young and radiating summer's glow, and eating in memory we used to know. Years go by and I see us differently. You and I were never ever meant to be. This isn't what I remember. This isn't what I treasure.
Here are the instructions for the SGD. Number 1, participants will be divided into small groups. Please refer to this link for the list of your group number, tinyurl.com/enewsSGD. Number 2, each group will be given scenarios which depict commonly encountered problems when writing articles and managing the publication of e-newsletter. Number 3, there will be a facilitator in each group to offer guidance. Number 4, please use Google Slides to aid your group in presenting the results of SGD. Number 5, after 20 minutes, the participants will gather in the main room where all groups will share their answers to the scenarios to the rest of the participants. Each group must select a representative to present their answer on their behalf. Number 6, the speakers, moderator, and facilitators may comment on the group answers and give their recommendations. Next. You can access the groupings for the SGD using this link. You can also take a screenshot of this slide and check your groupings now. The link has also been previously sent to your regional chairpersons. Once again, please take a screenshot of the slide and check your groupings now. For those who registered beyond the deadline or are last-minute proxies, do not worry if you don't see your name. We will manually add you to the groups. Once again, I would like to remind everyone to take a screenshot of the slide and check your groupings now. And for those who registered beyond the deadline or are last-minute proxies, do not worry if you don't see your name. We will manually add you to the groups. I think we shall proceed to the next slide. Here are the links to the case scenarios for each group. Please take note of them. You can also take a screenshot of this slide. Here are the links to the case scenarios for each group, and please take note of them. You can also take a screenshot of this slide. For this part, we'll be using the breakout Zooms feature of the Zoom, and you'll be automatically sorted into your groups. Please make sure everyone is given a chance to contribute to the discussion. There will be one facilitator in each group to accompany all members in coming up with some creative and innovative solutions to the scenarios. We encourage all participants to use Google Slides to aid you in presenting your SGD results. Before we get started, does anyone have any questions or clarification regarding the instructions? May raise your hand or maybe use the chat box in the Zoom. I think there is no questions, and I believe everyone have already got their attention to the instructions. But if you guys found any problems or if you guys have any issues regarding this session, please don't hesitate to ask your facilitator in your breakout room. If none, the time now is
Okay, so I think Uki has a problem in the internet connection. So maybe we will start the SGD now.
hello everyone. I hope you had productive discussions with your group mates. Please make sure that you have chosen your representative for the next part of the session. For the group presentation, I'll be flashing the given SGD scenarios on the screen. There are two groups assigned per set of scenarios. When your group number is called, the group representative should use the raise hand function. and I'll call on them to share their group's answer. Again, when your group number is called, the representative must use the raise hand feature and they will be called to present. Let's state the first scenario. Please, the share screen. The United Nations, UN, commemorates 5 June as the International World Environment Day. Environmental health itself is a branch of public health concerned with all aspects of the natural and built environment affecting human health. Since it is an important issue, as a part of the newsletter team in your chapter, we decided to create a newsletter to spread awareness regarding the environmental health. Next. Now let's take a look at SGD scenarios set 1. Number 1, create some catchy names and slogans for your newsletter, which suits the current theme, the World Environment Day. Number 2, think and explain the sections you would like to include in your newsletter. To share the answers to question number 1, let's call on the representative of group number 1. For group number 1, who is the representative? Okay, I think someone is raising their hand.
Yeah, that would be me. Yeah.
Share your answer.
Yes. Okay, hang on. Okay, so for our catchy name that we have decided for our scenario, the name for our newsletter would be Breathe, because you know how the environment basically surrounds all aspects in our lives, particularly what we inhale. Yeah, inhale. Yeah. So our catchy name would be Inhale, actually. Sorry, not Breathe. Yeah. And then as for our slogans for our newsletter, the first one would be Mother Earth and all its worth, because tree for all of the valuable things that we consume and enjoy in life. So it's worth many, many things. And then the second one would be save world, save lives. Because if you think about it in that aspect, it leaves a lot of blank space for you to ponder on. What happens when you save world? You don't just save the environment, but you also save lives. Yeah. And then the third one would be green, something related to green fingers. Yeah, together we create green fingers, because that is how we care for our environment. Yeah. And I think for the second one, I will pass on to the next speaker. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, who is the next speaker? Okay, that's Wally.
Hi, I am Wali from AMSA, Bangladesh. I would like to share the motto or slogan that we discussed in our group discussion. The slogan we discussed, that is the save art and save life. That was discussed in our discussion. And the thing we are working on in our newsletter are some articles regarding environmental issues, and also there will be some infographics about that to help our world to be a good one, and where we all know that global warming and health environment is alarming issue in our world, so it should emphasize more importance. So we would like to create some of those kinds of stuffs to prevent environmental pollution. Also, we'd like to some photography that will help us to prevent environment pollution or deforesting, something like that. We will like to share all those things in our newsletter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hasanah and Wali, for your answers, and also the group number 1 for your fascinating answer. And does anyone from our speakers or maybe our chief of e-newsletter want to comment on the group's answer?
Yeah, so I really love the slogan that you created, the Save Earth and Save Lives one. Like, it is really related to the World Environment Day. And also, I think for the sections, you already occupied the needed section, like the health issue, and also you already have the photograph section too. So I think it's really great. And I hope you have a good discussion in the previous SG, and I hope you can learn very much from this session too. I think that's all for me. So is there Srinidhi here?
Hey guys, can you hear?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly. But you're still muted right now. Yeah, perfect.
Hello, Srinidhi, do you have any comments? Hello, Nidhi. Oh. Hello, Nidhi. Do you have any comments regarding the first group? Is Nidhi still here? I think Nidhi suffers some internet connection problem. Okay. Is there Evan here? Evan? No? Wait a moment. Okay, there's no Evan. So thank you once again for group 1 for your answer and your presentation. Now we proceed to the second SGD scenario. SGD discussion 2. Think of sub-themes for the newsletter which relate to the current theme, the World Environment Day. 2. Find a magazine design layout to be used as your chapter's newsletter design branding, and think of some ways to promote your newsletter. I think that is group 2 and group 5. To share the answer number 2, for question number 2, I would like to call on the representative of group number 2. Please, who is the representative of group number 2? Please raise your hand. Or you can speak immediately. Okay, it's Nurul Ain. You can start your presentation.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, great. So we've received the task to create the sub-theme, the design, and also the layout for World Environmental Health Day. So first of all, for our sub-theme, it's first for us to tackle the issue of climate change, because we hope that for our readers, it's not only for medical students, but also the general public. So we would like open up what is climate change and what is like the real world problem right now. And then we will also introduce to them what is sustainability, because for some others, some may hear that it's common to be heard, but not really much understand what is sustainability. So we will write an article about that. Next, we would also like to bring upon the antimicrobial awareness, because we're talking about our environment. It's not only about like pollution and stuff, but also antimicrobial awareness is also important in our life. And then next, for pollution, we're not only talking about the issue of pollution. However, our idea was also to include all districts or all chapters to submit the real like situation of pollution in their country. So, for example, for Malaysia, what is the highest amount of pollution in India and such, so that we know that it is a global problem for pollution. And then we will also like to include articles on WHO policies or SDGs to just talk about how this environmental health is related to our global health and also policies, and how it affects basically the world. Okay, next, for our design, so what we wanted to include is meaningful art, because although this is a problem, however, we would also like kind of like show that there is also a solution, I guess, in behind all of this like craziness of the world. And then also include like some sculptures, like example of the sculptures, such as for pollution, there's a lot of like trash, plastic. However, especially now, there's a lot of like for artists, to also showcase their design and also creativity in how they can tackle this problem as a beautiful thing, as a positive thing. So like sculptures made out of plastic or metal, stuff like that. And then for our layout, we would include like slogans. So for example, the first group slogan will maybe like create it big so people can actually see the problem. So we'll just make the slogan big, and then we'll also create a lot of graphics and also statistics to engage the readers. And then our main color will be green for peace and environment, and also red and bold colors to highlight that this is a major issue. So how we would like to promote this this World Environmental Day is basically from promotional videos, because we learned from the session just now how the videos really like help engage us. So we would like to do that also, and also include some posters. And also lastly, like it's a main, I guess our main idea is to include also influencers or environmental health advocates to help us promote also. So like famous artists. So we have a wider audience range, and also people that read our newsletters. So we can have like Afro or Leonardo DiCaprio. So this is an example of designs that we were planning. Okay, so this is an example of designs that we plan to have. So as you can see, a mixture of like green and also bold colors, and also a lot of graphics, just to make the readers more engaged. And I think that's all from us.
Thank you very much, Nurul, and thank you for group number 2 for the wonderful answers and presentation. So I would like to invite our speaker, Nidhi, or our chief of e-newsletter, Adela, to comment on the group answer. Hello, Nidhi. Nidhi, are you there? I think Nidhi is still experiencing some technical difficulties. I think I would like to invite Adela.
Okay, so maybe I was really interested with the Leonardo DiCaprio and Zac Efron part that you include in your presentation. So maybe I would like to ask, like, how do you exactly involve them to promote your newsletter? But it's really interesting. So maybe you want to unmute yourself.
I guess we can contact them through social media, and like hopefully and pray that they will respond to us one way or another.
Yeah, it's really nice if we can get in touch with them, yeah. But overall, I really love your ideas, especially the design one. Like you combine the soft color green and the bold color red, and I think it's really a good mixture for the design. Thank you, group 2.
Okay, thank you very much, Adela, for your comments. And Nidhi, are you here already? I guess Nidhi is still having technical difficulties. We hope she can give comment to our last presenter. So lastly, let's take a look at the scenario number 3. Number one, you're planning to create an article related to the World Environment Day. Please write down your main idea for each of your paragraphs. Number two, please find some credible references from the internet which relate to your article and cite them properly. To share their answer to question number three, let's call on the representative of group number three. Group number three, who is your representative? It's Kevin. Kevin, you
Yes.
can unmute yourself and
Okay.
show your presentation.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. And first, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Kevin Christian Chandra from AMSA Indonesia, and I'm as a representative of Group 3. Okay. During our discussion at the Group 3, first, we try to identify what is the eye-catching idea, and we try to find some. But we come to the conclusion that one of the type of the eye-catching idea is related to our condition now. And what we have today is about COVID-19 pandemic, and that's one of the eye-catching idea. And based on the eye-catching idea, COVID-19 pandemic, we try to find some positive effect about the environment. And here we are. The introduction, we have air pollution, water pollution, and land pollution is decreased during the COVID-19. And based on the introduction, we try to formulate three parts in the body section. That is the first paragraph, second paragraph, and the third paragraph. For the first paragraph, we try to find some facts and statistics about the decline of air, water, and land pollution. And the second paragraph, after we identify and we know the facts and the statistics, we try to identify the positive and the behavior we have during the pandemic and how we can adapt it to the new normal condition, especially we as a medical students. And the third paragraph, as we formulate and we try to find how we can manage and preserve the positive behavior and engagement of civil society. And because of that, I hope this article will involve our surrounding and will involve the medical student to try to find a way to serve our environment during the global pandemic. And for the conclusion, maybe to serve our environment, we don't need to find a perfect time, but we can try it today, now, anywhere, anytime, in any condition. And for the next slide. Okay, and here's the references we have. We cited one from the article and two from the journal from the international journal. And for the last one is our photo. Okay, here we are. Is maybe the condition that we have during the discussion. And here's for me from the group 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Group 3, for the wonderful and fascinating answer and presentation. And now I'd like to invite Adela and or Sinidi to give comments on the answers.
Yeah, sorry guys, I couldn't be there for the last discussions. And yes, group 3 is amazing. It's fantastic with the way you've come up, with the body, the paragraph, and the conclusion, and also with your resources. It's amazing. And also in your conclusion, just like how you would summarize your the body, you can also add a point on on the positive impacts of environment. You can also further stress again on the conclusion. So yeah, I guess it's great, it's wonderful, and yeah, even your sources, references are just fine. It's great.
Okay, thank you very much, Nidi, for your comments and suggestion. Now let's proceed to Adela. Adela, do you have any comments?
I think I would just like to add some more. So maybe when finding search, maybe I would like to recap what Nidi said earlier about checking your search. So you have to check when was it published and does it relate, and what are the author's credential, and does your reference support the evidence, and what is the purpose, and is there any bias in the reference. So if you have already checked all the 5 one, I think your reference is very, very good. Okay, I think I just want to add that one.
Okay, thank you for the advice and suggestion. Hopefully, we can try to
Yeah,
we can be
but
better for the next opportunities.
I know that the time is not much for that, so it's okay for now.
Okay,
You
thank
already
you.
have done a great job. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you for group.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, Nidhi, and thank you very much, Adela, for all your comments and suggestions for our three groups. And for everyone, I hope that this session will be useful to engage and also implement all the comments and also all the knowledge we have learned today to your daily basis. That ends the second part of our session on guidelines to essay writing and newsletter publication. It's been a great few hours getting to learn from the speakers and from fellow participants. As we end today's program, I would like to thank everyone who has actively participated in our program. Also, to all speakers and facilitators, it is our great pleasure to have you guys with us today. I would also like to remind everyone of the main theme for today's session. AMSA International newsletter is one of the subsidiaries of AMSA International. They will be published quarterly, and each e-newsletter emphasizes in various themes with the aim to provide members with deeper knowledge and insights on health issues circulating lately. With that, I would like to use this session to announce that we have published our 34th e-newsletter, Aspire 34. Feel free to read our brand new e-newsletter through our website or issue link. We also encourage you to fill in the feedback link and share your thoughts after reading our e-newsletter through the feedback link. I will share the links in our Zoom chat. So here is the link for our e-newsletter. You can read it and you can access it directly. And also, we hope you share it to your respective your friends in your respective chapters. Before we leave, let's take a group photo. Everyone, please turn on your videos. And I would like to invite Sista to help to screenshot our moment together.
All right. Okay. Everyone, I'll wait you guys to turn on your video.
Okay, there is still some plenty. I think there is still 10 more people who haven't turned on their video. I think I will just wait for another 15 seconds. Everyone, we would like to remind everyone to turn on your videos because we are going to take a group photo. Please everyone, turn on your videos so we can take our photograph. Okay, I think, Sista, you can take the photo now.
Okay, there are three sounds. Let's take the first slide first. Okay, pose for us. 3, 2, 1. Okay, the second slide. 3, 2, and 1. And the last slide. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Thank you very much, Sista, and thank you very much, everyone. With that, I would like to officially close our 10th AMSA International Masterclass. Thank you and have a nice weekend. Goodbye.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was very, very valuable. Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.